I would really like to come out here and make a positive video one day. I really would. But it's so hard. And it wouldn't be truthful. It wouldn't be the real feeling I have right now towards the Miami Dolphins. Every video it feels like that I've made in the last 3 months outside of, I felt decent about the offseason signings. I felt decent about the drafts. But everything else has been nothing but negativity for me. And whether that's Tyreek Hill or whether that's my lack of belief in Mike McDaniel or Chris Greer still having a job, there's been so many reasons for us Dolphins fans. Jalen Ramsey, I mean, that's still looming over us as to what's going to happen with him. There's been so many reasons for the Dolphins to cast a negative shadow over themselves and for us as a fan base to not trust them going into next season. And I'm truly looking for anything. I could have made a video probably talking about how Tyreek Hill said he's going to get Jalen Ramsey back, and yeah, take that as you will. To me, that meant absolutely nothing, and I didn't want to come out here and just iron out a 7 to 10 minute video talking about how I think that's a load of crap and it doesn't matter what Tyreek Hill says because I don't even trust him to go in there and convince him based off of the last time we saw him at the podium for the Dolphins at the end of the season, what he said. And like, that still very much means a lot to me, what Tyreek Hill did, basically throwing the team under the bus, saying he's got to go. And now he's trying to about face and try to save face and do all the right things, say all the right things, but that still does leave a bit of a negative taste in my mouth. There's so much just within the Dolphins organization of people who are currently on the team, that are currently working for the team, that I can point at and say, hey, I don't trust that. Hey, I don't really believe in that. And now we look to an outside source to bring us more negativity. Kendall Lamb, former tackle for the Dolphins, at some points he was a starter for the Dolphins last year, came out and had some interesting words to say about his former team. He is now signed with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't have to be the first person to come out here and tell you that the Miami Dolphins and the Philadelphia Eagles are two wildly different organizations at their core. Super Bowl winner last year, Super Bowl winner almost a decade ago now. Meanwhile, the Dolphins, who have still yet to win a playoff game in my lifetime, and within that, you're going to find a whole bunch of differences as to why the Eagles have had their success and why the Dolphins have had their success, or lack thereof. And Kendall Lamb came out talking about his new team. I understand why the Eagles reached 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. Players are never late, never toxic, and after every practice, the room spends 15 minutes sharing personal struggles to stay mentally sharp. Something I never got with the Dolphins. I've been saying it for a long time now. The culture isn't right. One reason or another. There's many things I could point at. I could point out how there is not really a dominant voice in the room. Mike McDaniel is not a very imposing man. Tua is certainly not an imposing man. The injuries that he has sustained, no fault of his own in a way, but you look at him differently. A smaller man in stature, not very athletic, not going to beat somebody just based off of his athletic prowess. Instead, you have smaller, weaker Mike McDaniel, smaller, weaker Tua, and a culture that's pretty much non-existent. Now, they come out and say the right things. And I believe it was Austin Jackson that came out and saying, Tua is doing all the right things. He is somebody the locker room buys into. I believe Bradley Chubb came out and says similar things about how this time it feels real. But we just keep hearing the same crap from these Dolphins players that they're buying in. We're all in. We like it here. They keep saying the right things out loud. And then every time they get an opportunity to back the words that they're saying, it doesn't hold up. We have now had each of the last 2 off seasons, players move on and join other teams. Deshaun Elliott last year, and the words that he said last year, so many fans came out and bashed Deshaun Elliott, and basically saying it was his fault. He wasn't that good of a player, so he moves on to another situation, and of course you're going to start talking trash. And Kendall Lamb, you could kind of point a very similar finger at. Kendall Lamb, not the best of players, was kind of thrust in a situation that he wasn't at the skill level of, but they both said similar things, calling this team weak. Kendall Lamb saying players are never late. That indicates players are usually late when it comes to Dolphins practices. Never toxic. 180 of that is again true. That implies the Dolphins situation is very toxic. Things like where he mentioned players staying around and sharing stories with each other, having a true camaraderie, things you don't see with the Dolphins. The Dolphins say all the right things, but when rubber meets the road, you don't get the same pieces of what makes some of these great sports organizations. Case in point, look 25 minutes up the road from Dolphin Stadium, the Florida Panthers. Everything they've got going there. Now, I was very fortunate. I got to go to Game 6, one of the greatest experiences of my life, certainly a top 3 sports moment. Late last year, I got to go to Yankees-Dodgers Game 5. I'm a Yankees fan. That sucked, but just the experience itself. I've gotten to go. I went to FAU, went to New York, was working for the not necessarily working for the team, working for the school. Was on the floor as they're cutting down the Elite Eight nets, and then we have Game 6 where the Panthers win the Stanley Cup Finals, and that was such a real moment. And you take a step back and you look at what got them there, and obviously the talent is there. And certainly the talent is there also with the Dolphins. You look at the Madden ratings, I believe the Dolphins are the 4th ranked team in Madden as of now going into next season. But beyond the talent, there is camaraderie. Those guys love each other. Those guys will fight for each other. Whether it is the best player on the team, whether it is Barkov, whether it's Kachuk, whether it is Sam Bennett, hopefully he stays around, or whether it's Gadjevich, whether it is backup goalie Vanek. Like, whoever it is representing a Panthers jersey, you are part of a brotherhood. No one man is important than anybody else. They care for each other. They fight for each other. The first line, second line, third line, fourth line, defensive lines, goalkeepers, head coach, everybody within there fights for each other. And they all have one common goal, and they're great at achieving it. They can set their sights on winning that Stanley Cup, and even if they lose a couple pieces this year, with the structure in place, with the GM in place, head coach, the stars that you'll be bringing back next year, I fully expect the Panthers to be very much in contention again next year. And if they went on and won it again, I would not be in the least bit surprised. They're a tough team. They're a gritty team. So many fan bases, especially hockey fan bases, complain about how the Panthers play, but we all know if their team were to play like the Panthers play, they would love them. And we do. South Florida community right now is in love with this Florida Panthers team, and rightfully so. And part of how much I currently love this Panthers team makes it so difficult for me to make Miami Dolphins content. It makes it hard for me to look at the success they're having, back-to-back championships, great players that I believe in. They just went out and got Brad Marchand. Really, what was he, second place when it came to Conn Smythe voting at the end of the finals. He was one of my most hated players. He comes into Florida, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I love this guy. I made a list the other day of my top 10 favorite athletes right now. Brad Marchand was number 1. You would know it was not in that top 10 list any Dolphins players at all. The closest that I got was Javon Holland, which I didn't include him in my top 10, but he would probably be like 11 or 12, and he's no longer a Dolphins player. A bunch of my favorite players that were on the team are no longer here. Looking at Javon Holland, looking at Christian Wilkins, soon to be looking at Jalen Ramsey. They're not here. They're on other teams, probably going to play great for him. Christian Wilkins hurt last year. Javon Holland, I'm sure, is going to be great for the Giants. Jalen Ramsey, wherever he goes, is going to be great. I don't have that love for any player on the Dolphins right now. Honestly, my favorite player on the Dolphins right now might be Malik Washington, only because last year I believed in him when Donovan did not. I believe he could sketch himself a role in the return game, and therefore, if you're good in one aspect of the field, you might get more reps in other aspects of the game, and that he did. He was a meaningful contributor at the end of the season last year. But I don't feel that love for anybody on the team right now, and part of that comes from I don't feel the love on their side. I don't feel the dedication to the game that I expect from a winning franchise. It feels like a bunch of guys that, yeah, they're happy, but they're there to hang out, play some football, make a lot of money, but they're not dedicated to winning. They're not dedicated to winning like the Panthers are. They're not dedicated to win like the Philadelphia Eagles are. And if that is what I'm getting from my football franchise, from my favorite team, from my favorite sports team really in general, how can I then give as much love as I want? I stopped my season tickets before last season. I went to a couple games last year. I'm still going to go to a couple games this year, and I still truly love this Dolphins team. However, I find myself falling less and less in love with them every day. And so much of it comes from things that are now coming out from former players, talking about the lack of intensity, talking about the lack of seriousness, talking about so many flaws within this locker room, within this culture, with it top to bottom, so many flaws that it's impossible to have sustained success, and it shows. I really don't want to come out here and keep talking ad nauseum about all the things I don't like about the Dolphins. But right now, I can't help but find more things to dislike than I can like. Kendall Lamb coming out, never late, never toxic. Players are spending 15 minutes with each other afterwards. Things that the Dolphins did not have. He blatantly said that. He's currently in a situation where he might go win a championship. The Eagles very much in the same situation as the Panthers are, where if they repeat it next year, nobody be surprised. Their stars are tough. Their stars all buy in. They have a top-down culture where everybody buys in. Panthers, top-down culture, everybody buys in. From your stars to your third-string goalie. Everybody within that organization buys in and is focused. They are tough. They are physical, and they know how to win. This Dolphins team doesn't know how to win. This Dolphins team does not know how to impose themselves physically. Almost every time we lost last year, barring the Bills game in Buffalo, where, look, one play goes differently. We're in that game, probably going into overtime. Cardinals game, it was just two great offensive performances that day with Tua's first game back. Otherwise, every game we lost, we got out physical. The line of scrimmage, lost it. Both sides of the ball. We could not establish the run game. On the other side, we could not prevent the other team from establishing their run game. The other teams almost always control time of possession. They almost always have the ability to control the ball at the end of the game, control the clock, and the Dolphins couldn't get the ball back because they couldn't control the line of scrimmage when the other team was just playing physical smash mouth football. The Dolphins don't have the heart. They don't have the seriousness. They don't have the love that is needed in this league to win. And it's becoming really, really hard to be a fan of that.